Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to go through the new Add an App experience, which has been completely redesigned from scratch, keeping the user experience in mind. Before we look at it in action, one thing I wanted to mention is that this will be released as a beta feature in Agile.nx version 8.0, and organization admins have complete control over what kind of experience is being used by their application designers. So as a tenant administrator, I can go to settings, app builder, process designer. One of the new keys you will notice over here is default app wizard experience. By default, this will be set to classic, which is the pop-up experience. And in my environment, I have switched it to modern. So any customer who is upgrading, by default, it would be set to classic, but their tenant administrators can move it to modern. Any new customer would see it as modern set by default. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And if I now navigate to app builder, click on add app. So as you can see, now you see a full screen experience rather than a pop-up experience, and there is a navigation wizard at the top. You can see what's happening, and it walks you through various steps, collecting various information before the app is created with some business user friendly messages. So for example, it tells me what kind of an app would you like to build. So I'm going to say process based app. Next, it would say how would people identify your app. So it is asking me for some app information. I'm going to say it is going to be called com. Category would be customer service. I can give a nice looking description, basically some basic info about my application. Next, because I said this is a process driven application, it asks me how do I want to set up my process. I'm going to add information about my first process model. I'll call it com. It will have horizontal swim lanes. You can give it a description. Here are the various trigger options which are available for a process driven application. I'm going to select eForms. I'll put a couple of swim lanes, and I can give a theme which will be reflected in the my app section in work center. So I'm going to select this one. Click next. Next, it asks me where would my app store the data. Now this is very different from what you saw in the past. In the past, we were using some of the technical terminology like what is your app's primary data source. Now it uses more business user friendly messages. So I'm going to say my app will be storing data in data entity primarily. It supports the same primary data sources as in the pop-up experience or the classic experience. Click next. I can give a nice looking name to my data entity data source. I'm going to say show me custom entities only. Select the custom entity based on my permission. I can see the fields which I can include in the application, and if there are any child tables. So customer has a child table called order management. I'm going to include that. Next, it asks me how do I want to secure my application. Now because my application is still in draft state, if I hover over app initiator, you will see that is locked because it says you have to publish this app in order to set this permission, and also for the report viewer. Those are runtime permissions, so you have to publish it. But there are design time permissions which I can set right now itself. I can always come back and set these two separately, which in fact it would prompt me to set app initiator and reviewer while I was publishing the app. But in this case, I'm going to say I want to add additional app designers. I have a user called demo user. I can add it, and now I have one app designer. So one owner, which is my name, and one app designer. Click next. Next, it asks me anything else I would like to add to this application. So we have brought everything in an application wizard over here. So you can add access tokens. You can at an application level, you can define document repository connections, style sheets. You can upload them. You can create groups and roles which were used by your application, provided you have permission. Images, you can upload images, JavaScripts. I'm going to upload a style sheet. Similarly, I will upload one image as well. And if I see, I have now have a chevron button over here. If I expand it, I can see what files are available under this category. Once it is done, I can click on next. It takes all that information and configures my application. And because this was a process driven application, it throws me into the process designer area. Now similarly, if I go to app builder, I'll click on add an app again. This time I'm going to select form based application, click next, give it a name, select a category. I can give it a nice looking description if I want it, click next. Because I selected form based application, it asks me some different kind of questions. So it is asking me, do you want to create a widget form? This is something special to form based applications only, and it is not typical. So it explains what a widget form means. As you know, widget form is something I can create widgets and include it in Agile Point Page Builder module. I'm going to say no, this is not required. Next, it asks me what is the primary data source for my application. So it asks me the same question, where would my app store the data? I'm going to select this one, click next, give it a nice looking name. Again, go against a custom entity, and I'll select the child entity called order, click next. I can secure my application. I'm going to just go ahead and click next, and I can upload any additional resources if I wanted. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and click next. It takes that information again, generates a form based application, and it shows me what kind of files have been generated for this form based application. So it generated a blank form, blank new customer form, a blank update customer form, and some views like all customers, recently created customers, and recently modified customers. This is same as what it used to do in the classic experience. I'm going to say this looks okay. And because this is a form based application, it will redirect me to the form designer area with my data source already available. So with this, as you can see, it is a more business user friendly, intuitive wizard experience where we are collecting all the related information to an application in the wizard and then generate it on your behalf so that you don't have to navigate to different folders. Thanks a lot for your time.